Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for joining me today. Now, we're going to do something fun today, but I have a couple of caveats before we begin. A couple of cautions. We are going to be setting fire to some inks. So, it means that you need to take some safety precautions. This is fire. It can burn you. I need you to know that, one, so that if you get burned, you don't come after me saying, why didn't you tell me I could get burned? It's fire. You could get burned. It means as well, I'm going to be working on this stone surface. If you can, do it outside. Do it on a non-flammable surface. Have a, I've got a big honking box of baking soda here so that if for whatever reason I did something really stupid and the fire got out of control, I have a way of putting it out safely and quickly. Now, the whole point is don't do anything that causes the fire to get out of control. And I'll give you some cautions as we go along, but just in today's world, I feel it's necessary to emphasize the fact that we are going to be burning things. I have a little barbecue lighter that I'm going to use. I'm going to be doing this in small bits, so at no point should there be a big, huge flame. You'll see as we go. My camera is going to be right over top, so I don't want my camera to burn, so I'm going to be exercising caution myself, but just those are my caveats before we get started. Now, we're going to be doing technically alcohol ink coasters, but we're going to be creating some of the patterning by using flame. And so, I've got an alcohol ink coaster. I think I did florals. I think it was a blown floral on ceramic tile. So again, you're not doing this on a flammable surface. We're doing it on ceramic tile. I'm working on a surface. Do it maybe on a metal cookie sheet, something that is not paper or wood. Normally I have paper under my work surface. You can see I don't have any of that here because, again, fire. Let me pull you in. All right, you can see on my stone surface, I have 2 ceramic tiles. I'm going to make 4 coasters ultimately because coaster sets, but I'm going to do 2 at a time. One, because it's the size of my surface, and secondly, because I think that I can manage and control this fine. So all I'm going to be using are alcohol inks. Pick whatever colors you want. I've got turquoise. And these are very organic coasters. So I'm not really looking to create any kind of pattern. This one's lettuce. These are pinata inks so far. So you can see the ink kind of spreads out, does its own thing, and that's cool. I'm not looking for them to be identical. I'm just looking for them to have similar colors. I'm going to add a little bit of butterscotch in. And it's always cool. You can see how the inks push. Lots of ink on this one. You can see how the inks push the others away. Okay, now I feel compelled to put a little bit more blue in the center just because. All right, and then I have a little bit of bronze. And I don't know who the maker of this is. I don't know. I just figured maybe a little bit of a metallic, and just a little bit. Usually a little goes a long way. Well, this is already crazy, isn't it? All right, now, here we go. Alcohol burns. So I'm only going to do 1 tile at a time. I'm going to drop a little bit of alcohol on there, and I am going to light it. And you can see as that flame works, I'm staying away from it and keeping this away from it, but you can see that it's now started to burn off the alcohol, and see how much that changed the patterns of this. We're going to do that again. and it kind of spreads it out to the edges a little bit, but you can see where it didn't go all the way out. And look how different. Now, if you love this, you could be done. You could say, I love this as it is, I'm finished. You could say, you know what? There's no blue left anywhere. How did that happen? Because it just does. So you could say, all right, I'm gonna do it again, but I just want a little bit more blue in there. And then we could add a little bit more alcohol. Now the inks, because they're wet, they still have alcohol that would burn. But we're just adding a little bit more to help them spread out, to help it do a little bit more. And you could just use the alcohol ink and then maybe use a little bit of alcohol and leave it. You don't have to do the burn. You could just do that part. And we do not add any other flammable substance, no more alcohol, no more inks to it while it's burning. You want to make sure that's totally out. Now, you could be done here. So this could be done. I mean, it's obviously not sealed, but maybe you're saying, I love that as it is. Or we're going to take shellac, right? So we're going to take some shellac. I need it in my other hand. And you can see how that totally changes the look of it, but that also burns. And it creates all these little dimpled patterns in there. Let me do a little bit on this one. Oh, that was maybe a lot. Yep, that was a lot. Hence the stone surface here. And I could just do a little spray here and there, wherever I want more of that kind of almost like a salt wash kind of feel to it. That was just a little. That didn't do much. There we go. And so you can keep playing with it like this until you kind of get the pebbly organic look that you want. At any time that you decide, I've gone too far, I really hate it, douse it with alcohol, wipe it clean, and you can start over. All right, now it's time to coat. These have dried. I'm taking an epoxy resin, oh my goodness, not enough space. 2-part epoxy resin. I've just marked off each glass with a line so that I can mix the two together. And hopefully, I eyeballed half and half, so hopefully I have enough room in my glass. Now, I typically end up mixing too much, but that's not a hardship. What I will do is I will just, whenever I have covered these and I have them all totally done, any of this excess resin, I will put into molds. So I will dig out some molds, take a look at some of the items that I might need for some future projects, and I will just cast the excess resin into those so that at no point does it ever go to waste. So we just have to stir this up until it's thoroughly blended. Okay, I can tell I have way more than I need. But what I'm going to do is just pour an amount on top of each. Let me move this guy back and let it start to settle. I will then take my little stick and kind of help it to the edges. And I'm doing this is going to dry overnight, but I'm doing this in the shop where I'm still going to be here for a couple of hours so that I can go around the edges as drips form and just wipe them away so that I don't have any of those hard drips necessarily to contend with tomorrow. But you can see the difference already. It just makes that design pop. And this is going to, the resin that I'm using, I mean, use whatever whatever epoxy resin you can get your hands on that you like, that makes sense for you. I happen to be using one that is UV resistant because alcohol inks can be impacted by the UV rays, so they can fade. So I'm deliberately using one that is going to help keep my alcohol inks looking vibrant. But you know, after I went to the trouble of doing all that burning on these, I want to keep them. So I've tried to keep them as level as possible on the table. I've got plastic that is underneath catching any of the drips. And what I will do after I've got this spread out is I'm going to take my little heat gun and I will just lightly go over the surface to get any bubbles that may be there rising to the surface so that they will pop and I won't have them kind of rising up later and leaving a divot in the middle of my tray. Our tiles have had overnight to dry, and the last thing that I want to do is I want to put a backing on these. Now, you could take some little fuzzy, you know, those little felt pads. You could attach those. You can buy at the dollar store. I like getting these little pre-cut squares of cork. They come with an adhesive backing. You just have to peel it away. And they're really quite sticky. Just kind of center them, push them down nicely, and they stick really well. So these work great. And certainly if I'm selling, I just find that they look a little bit more professional than just having the little feet. But you know what? Do what you need to do. But you can see the depth that resin pulls out of these, right? And just really nice kind of organic look. That burning did definitely give a slightly different look to them than I get if I just blow them or if I don't do that. But I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, that it is significant or that it is so unusual or so unique, or I couldn't do something equally as cool without the burning and all the pressure associated with it from a safety perspective, and you know, having the fire extinguisher or the baking soda beside me. I totally forgot I have fire extinguishers here. I don't know why I just didn't move those over to the table. I think it's because then I'd have to read the instructions first. It's probably more what it was. But I love how they look. I love how they turned out. So super cool that way. I like sealing it with the acrylic. I think that it gives a lot more depth to the tile. It really makes the alcohol inks pop. The alcohol inks are susceptible to UV rays. This resin that I used, I buy in huge big jugs. So I can drop in the link from Amazon, but again, it's really going to depend upon how much you do and you know, where you're located. But I like this because it just dries hard, crystal clear and hard, and the heat of a coffee mug isn't going to degrade this in any way. It's not going to start to soften it. Whereas if you use a top coat designed for furniture or things like that, it tends to, right? Might not be kind of as water not soluble, insoluble, but it might not be as much of a barrier as something like this. So certainly if you were looking to sell them, I would recommend this. If you're just doing it for yourself, you can paint on a sealer or polyacrylic of your choice. I would do multiple coats and you know, call it a day and use it in whatever ways make sense to you. I'm not going to say, let me know if you're going to try this, because I think that it's interesting. And I wanted to try it once I found out people were burning this. But I don't know that I'm a strong advocate of, gee, it makes a huge difference and is so unique for you to run out and start setting fire to things. If you decide to try it, it's with the admonition to take every safety precaution that you need to keep yourself safe, to avoid burning down your home, all those kinds of good things. Obviously, I'm not recommending it for children in any way, but you can tell me what you think of them, how they look. I would go for that one. Certainly looking forward to seeing you on the next one, you guys, as always. And until then, take care.